Great morning. Great morning. You guys come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on, you guys. Let me, there we go. Let me share. All right. All right. Hey, Christina, how are you? Great morning, everyone. Great morning. Thank you for sharing, April. You guys, come on, share, share, share. Amen. I don't know what we amen into. Maybe it's just the title, but amen. Praise God. Yes. Won't he do it? He said he would. Y'all come on in. Y'all coming in quickly because I'm starting a little later. Listen, I've got a special treat for you guys today. I am going to be bringing none other than Prophet April Green Anderson into the show in just a few minutes. Hey, Mardan, how are you? Hey, Catherine. Oh, yes, honey. Yes. Y'all go ahead. Share, 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 share. Now, listen, don't y'all talk about my fingernails because I need to do my polish over. But I washed dishes last night. Y'all know I don't wash dishes. My nails and what is going Preparation, honey. Preparation. Listen, y'all come on in. Come on in. Hey, Catherine. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Hold on now. Hold on. Listen, 111. I think that's the perfect time. Yesterday was this beautiful lady's birthday. And I am so excited, to be able to bring her on to add her to our conversation. We celebrated her yesterday, but we finna celebrate her again today and again and again and again. We just celebrating the prophet April Green Anderson because she is worthy of celebration. She is worthy to be celebrated. You all, this woman has come into my life and she just added a missing piece to my life. That's what I'm going to say. That's my soul sister, soul sister, soul sister, soul sister. Yet another one added to my crew, to my squad. And I know that she was God sent. This is how you know people are God sent. They add to and they don't subtract from your life. They add to and they don't subtract from your life. So she has definitely come in and added to our lives. And today we're talking about promise. And I said, listen, what better way to talk about promise than to bring somebody on who knows what it feels like to see the promises of God at work in their life. In their life. Hey, Kareen, how are you? She said, happy birthday, April.
Thank
Hey,
you. Thank
Jackie.
you.
How are you, gorgeous? Okay, so listen, today we're talking about promise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first of all let April say something. Say something, girl.
Good morning, everyone. That was so sweet what you said. Thank you. I'm sitting over here blushing and my cheeks are hurting early this morning from smiling, but thank you. And the feeling is mutual. The feeling is definitely mutual. You have added to my life and opened me up to some things that to help me grow and advance. And I am most excited about it. So thank you so much.
I had to make us a little bigger, girl. We was a little too far away, baby. I said, listen, it's too much fineness on this screen for it not to be up close and in person,
Okay,
right?
and
In living color. Okay. Look.
right.
So April, we're gonna talk about today's devotion, and I want to kind of get your perspective on the text and what you've experienced, particularly over the last year. This last year, you've had a lot of change and transformation. And so I want you to kind of share that with the people. Today, you guys, we're talking about promise, and we're coming from one of my favorite texts, baby. It's one that if I don't know no other text, I know that one. Okay. And we know this that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. You guys, listen, when I tell you that that scripture has taken me through a lot of trying times. It absolutely has. It's taken me through a lot of trying times. It's allowed me to go through what I went through, knowing that God was working it out for me. And no matter how bad it looked, no matter how bad it seemed, that it was all going to come together. Now, that's my experience with it. I'm going to let April come on and share her experience with it, and how that text has impacted her life.
So 2022 was it wasn't a bad year. I will say that it was an awakening. And I think when I talked with Dr. V last night, I talked about it being an awakening. And there was have been many things that God had shown me and told me about myself and that what he was going to do. And we get into a place where sometimes we don't see it happening and we don't think it's going to happen. But whatever God promises us, it's going to come to pass because he will not, shall not lie. And
Yes.
even though it doesn't happen in the timing that we think it does will happen, it's going to happen. And when it hit about, I will say, March, from March on from last year, I started seeing God's promises roll and start opening up and start coming into fruition. And it was so much and so fast to the point to where I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? What's going on? So
Mm-hmm.
he kept reminding me, I told you this, it's
Yes.
going to happen. Don't doubt, don't fear, don't get into the mindset of, well, I'm not seeing any kind of sign, so maybe I didn't hear this, or maybe this wasn't true. No, it was. We have to develop the patience and the perseverance and the faith to believe that if he said it, it's going to come to pass. It's not in our timing. That timing is everything because we are popcorn people. We want things to pop, pop, pop and happen now. And God says, no, I need to build something up in you first,
Mm.
make some changes. Because if I give it to you now and you haven't been changed, then
You're
you're
gonna
not going
mess
to
it up.
appreciate it. Yes, you're going to mess it up. You're going to destroy it. You're not going to
Hmm.
appreciate it. And then here it is. I've given you something that's been wasted or squandered. So I'm glad that, and I'm grateful that he allowed me to work on me to get to the point to where now I can receive it. And it makes sense. It makes so much sense in my life now.
Wow. Wow. So when you look at 22, right? What's something that happened that could have been a bad thing, but you saw it work together for your good?
We gonna go there, Dr. V? We
I'm
gonna be
just
in my
asking.
business like that?
Listen, I'm asking questions, girl. I'm just.
And I one thing about me, I'm very transparent. I want to be real. I told you guys at the retreat that there were three things that I always wanted to be: real, relatable, and relevant. And so I have nothing to hide with that. But I will say this. I was dating someone and we started dating in May. And I just ended the relationship this past Friday, the 13th. And I thought and felt that this person was the one that I was going to marry, and that was not the case. And even in that, in the heartbreak, God, number one, told me that I would rapidly heal from it, and
Mm,
and he said it clear, and I said, oh, okay. And it has been that, because I haven't been all balled up in the fetal position crying and everything.
mhm,
But
mhm,
what I learned was more about me and having my voice to be able to speak how I feel about things in a relationship,
mm,
and not do what I've done in the past, which is allow men to just do whatever and I not say anything and I don't like stuff. So I was bold enough to hear God say, you know what? This is it. This is enough. I gave him an opportunity to do right by you. He did not. So this is it. And I was strong enough to say, you know what? This isn't going to work. I'm probably not the one for you. And I'm going to move on. And he was shocked. Like, are you serious? Yes, I'm done. I'm done. And walked out and left and didn't look back. Now, I could see that as a bad thing, like, oh my God, this is yet another person I've gotten involved with,
Mm-hmm.
and here it has gone bad. But I have to see the gift in it, even though it may not, and it sounds strange to see the gift in something that happened,
Right.
but I do see the gift in it. I did have an amazing time with this man. I
Mm-hmm.
did travel places and do things. But and I learned so much more. And he gave me in the beginning, for a few months in the beginning, he treated me like I really wanted to be treated, whether it was
Mm-hmm.
real or not. But I felt that. I felt that it was real. So I'm like, okay, I like this. This is how I want to be treated. But
Right.
I had to transition from that. And so now it's like,
Mhm.
okay, God, I know my husband, my real one, is
Yeah,
on
on
the
the way,
way.
girl.
So I'm waiting patiently. I
He
am.
looking.
He looking, he
He
lurking, he see me. Hey, husband.
listen, and you remember when I was going through in 22, I went through several relationships, pseudo relationships or whatever, where I was like, this the one. No, it's not. But do you remember that it was after I'd gotten to a point where I was just like, listen, I'm done. Like I'm sick of this. I
Mhm,
don't want to date another person. Like I'm sick of this. Like I'm so ready for my husband to show up, and my husband showed up. Like
mhm.
seemingly out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. You have to find the gift in those things. This morning, I was on Apostle Tammy's 40 Days in His Face. And normally I'm on Facebook Live. And I got on Facebook Live and I heard God say, get on the Zoom. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on the Zoom. Well, what I didn't know is the bishop that was supposed to speak today had an emergency and wasn't able to be on the Zoom. So he wasn't there, so they didn't have someone to speak. And when I got on the Zoom, she's like, "Oh, sis, you popped in. I need you to speak." I was like, feeling very unprepared. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. What we talking about this week? What's the thing this week? I
Mhm,
don't know, God. So I just look back at the stuff and literally the word that God gave me was it blessed my soul. That word
mhm.
blessed my soul. And the people were blessed by the word. If you guys didn't get a chance to hear it this morning, go back and listen. But I'm sharing this because I didn't understand why I needed to get on the Zoom and why I couldn't just watch on Facebook Live. But all things work together for the good of
Mhm,
those that love the Lord. So him not showing up worked together because God needed me to show up because there was something he needed me to say. And you got to understand that that's what God is doing in this season. Like he is literally rearranging the pieces of your life. You think it's one thing and he says, nope, not that. But I needed you to learn those lessons. I'm glad you got those experiences, right? But I've got better. I've got greater for you. I've got something waiting in the wings. I've got something that you haven't even thought about. You didn't even imagine that's getting ready to happen in your life. And God does that so perfectly as we're planning the wedding. Like when you plan weddings, it's always some ish. Like it's always stuff, it's always challenges, things that you're going to encounter. But one of our bridesmaids suddenly got an assignment and it's not going to be able to be in the wedding. And I'm like, okay, okay, God, even in that, I know God is doing something. See,
mhm.
we get so quick to label something good or bad, right? Good or bad.
Right.
We'll label it good or bad when really no instance is automatically inherently good or bad. Good or bad is determined by what you do with an experience, what you do with the situations of your life. Now, I know y'all are saying, listen, Dr. V, how can anything negative be good? How can someone being murdered be good? How can someone being raped be good? How can someone being robbed be good? How can there be any good thing that comes from a tragedy that results in paralysis or something like that in someone's life? Like, how can anything good come out of it? Listen, a friend of mine, Terrace Hawthorne, his wife, Lucretia, who is an absolutely amazing and incredible woman. A woman I have a lot of respect for, a woman who is known to be a great businesswoman. She's impacted a lot of lives in the beauty industry, as well as in the direct sales industry, as well as in the insurance industry. Listen, this woman has not insurance, but real estate and credit repair. So she was doing great things, and all of a sudden, she had an aneurysm that
Wow.
burst, and she was in a coma, not
Mhm.
talking, not moving, just holding on. And they wanted him to pull the plug. They said, "There's nothing else we can do for her. It's going to be better for her if you just pull the plug." And he said, "I will not pull the plug. We're going to explore everything, every option, everything possible." Now she's breathing. She's communicating, even though she's not fully talking. She says some
Mhm.
words and stuff. But what if he looked at it and said, "This is so bad and so horrible. I quit. I give up."
Yes.
God
Yes.
had another plan. And
Mhm.
so I believe that out of that, because out of that, so many people have been inspired, so many people have been encouraged, so many people have been like, wow, watching their love story unfold on another. They already had an amazing love story. Like, I would be looking at them like, man, that's that couple. Not that their life was perfect or their marriage was perfect, but you just knew that there was something there. And you could really see what was there when that situation arose. And he was like, no, listen, I'm getting ready to take care of my wife. Left his job, became her full-time caregiver. Now, what good can come out of that? The world
Mhm.
can see what unconditional love looks like.
Right.
April, I know for me, one of the things that I told God is I want a man who will love me enough to go through even the worst things with me. So that,
Right.
and listen to, I want you to listen to what I told God. Listen, I'm not making this up. I couldn't. I said, I want a man that even if I was in a wheelchair, he would love me and stay with me and be by my side and take care of me.
Wow. Wow.
Why, wow, April?
That, oh my. Knowing what I know, wow. Oh my.
Explain what you know.
So Tim, her fiance, his late wife, was in a wheelchair from the moment that they met and cared for her the entire time that they were married until she passed in a wheelchair. Wow. I told you your words. Your words. Oh my.
But that was important to me because to me,
Mhm.
that was an indication that their love would never fail.
Yes. Yes.
And so often, our love fails.
Mhm.
It fails to produce, positively. See, this is why we can't say people don't love us. Oh, they didn't love you in the first place. Doesn't mean they didn't love you in the first place. They didn't love you enough.
Mhm.
Because when you love a person enough, and when you love them with that unconditional love, 144, then you will do things that you said you wouldn't do, like clean, wash dishes, stuff that you just like,
Mhm.
I don't want that. I don't like
Mhm.
that. I'm not trying to do that, but you'll do it when you love someone enough
Right.
to make adjustments, to shift, to
Mhm.
um make sure that you're showing yourself, showing your love to them. Not that you're trying to earn their love, because love is given, it's not earned, right? That's
Mhm.
number one. You
That's
can't
right.
earn someone's love. You love is given, it's given.
Yes.
Freely
Yes.
given, freely what?
Freely receive.
And freely taken back. Give me
Mhm.
my love back. Come on, my love. I'm gonna still love you, but I'm gonna love you from way over there on the other side of the country.
There's gonna be limitations to it. I'm only gonna take you this far.
We got boundaries, boundaries up in this joint, right? But
Right.
the text, when I think about that scripture and I think about what we've learned with saboteurs,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
when I think about what we've learned with saboteurs, and one of the things that we learned with saboteurs is that when situations happen, the judge is quick to say good, bad, and label it. But you don't know what the situation is. You don't know if it's good for you or if it's bad for you, but we know. How do we know, April?
We know because the word says that all things, whether we think they're inherently good or bad, all things work together. So there's always something that's going to benefit us In our minds, we it's just black and white for us. It's good
Yes.
or bad. There's no
Mhm.
in between. There's no, well, possibly. But the Bible says that all things, no matter what it is, work together for our good. So there is an expected end to it, a great end. So God is not the God that would cause harm to us, and he wants to see our demise, and he wants to
Yes.
see us fail. He is not that God. He said, one of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11. He says, I know the thoughts I think towards you. I know the plans I have for you. It's to bring you to an expected end. It's of good and not evil. So we have boxed ourselves in to think yes or no, black or white. And so then in that instance, then we can't see the gift. We can't see the good. But you have to believe, even anything that I go through now, because I've been through the sabotage, no more sabotage classes. Anything I go through, I don't say, oh, it's bad or it's good. And when people, I'm telling them what's going on, and when they start going, I'm like, no, even in this, there is a gift. I have to find out what that gift is. I have to find out what the good is in it. So if I can share this, so I had to take my, and I put a post on my Facebook page this morning, but I had to take my car to the shop, and I had specific things that I wanted to be checked out. That's it. Just check this out. I need to know what's going on because it's expensive to work on my car. Well, then they call me telling me all this stuff is wrong. They deemed it unsafe to drive, which I'm like, I've been driving this car for 3 years. I haven't had any indication that any of that is wrong. And if it was, I believe I got enough Holy Ghost where God would have said, okay, I'm gonna need you to check this out. Or
Right.
something would have happened to let me know. So I had to see, and so they said you need to call your insurance, get them involved. Maybe they can help you pay for this because it was like over it's $17,000 worth of work. I'm not doing
Wow.
that. I'm not paying that.
Right.
So I called the insurance company, and the agent that I talked with, I kid you not, God gave me a word to give to her. And I so gave that word like God gave it to me and blessed her. She was crying on the phone. I don't know this lady, but see,
Mhm.
I had to see the good in even dropping my car off and not having that vehicle this week. Like, I didn't have my car for my birthday yesterday. I didn't get it until later on in the evening. But I could have looked at that situation as, oh my God, I bought this car. Now it's going to put me down. What am I going to do? I didn't look at it that way. I said, okay, something is up here. Something's going on. I got the car back last night. There's nothing wrong with, the only thing is they killed my battery. I got to go take that. Y'all can fix this battery. I know that.
Tuh,
My
period.
battery was fine before I brought it here. So now
To
it's dying.
y'all.
Oh no,
Mhm.
y'all need to fix that. But I
Right.
saw the blessing and the gift in that. It wasn't that the whole, however God does it is how he does it.
Yes.
Now he had to take me all around there to talk to that one insurance agent. And I did what I needed to do. Now I got my car back, and I'm going forward. So I know in me not getting down and depressed and like, oh my God, what's gonna go happen? I was not like that at all. I know that
Mhm.
something, there's a blessing coming because of that, because of my
Yes.
obedience with dropping it
Yes.
off, using wisdom, and then giving her the word that I was
Mhm.
supposed to. So we don't need, going forward, people do not look at things as this is good or bad. You have to see the gift. God says all things work together for your good, not for your bad, not for your maybe, not for no, they work for your good. That's what the Bible says. And we need
Mhm.
to stand on that and
Yes.
live by that every single day. Every day.
Yes. Yes. Listen, good morning, daddy.
Hi, Daddy. The anointed man of God with the wisdom. Oh my goodness. He so blessed my soul yesterday in a conversation we had. I love you, Daddy Wiggins.
Listen, and you guys, even the situation with my daddy, like the fact that I did not know that the man who raised me was not my daddy for 55 years, that I moved him in, I took care of him as he transitioned and everything. And then 2 months later, I find out, well, more like 3 months later, 3 to 4 months later, I find out that he wasn't my biological father.
Mm,
But even that worked together for my good. So I got not one great daddy, I got two great daddies and a great
mhm.
God to be my daddy. Come on now. You can't beat it. Corey said, great day, dad. Love you. Now, listen, you know, April, you had the opportunity, and I know this is kind of like an interview, but look, just go with me. But you had the opportunity to be with me since March of last year. Like you've been following me since about March of last year. And we really started getting close, right? We really started getting close, and then I merged you into my sister squad, and you know.
Yay, and I love them. I love them so much.
And as you have been on this journey with me behind the scenes, because you know there's what people see, you know, and people a lot of times think this stuff is fake, you know. Oh, that's just what they do for Facebook. That's what has been your experience being on the backside with me?
You know, I've always wanted um, a leader who was real and who wasn't so high up on a pedestal that they did no wrong and their lives were just perfect, because I knew that wasn't the case. And I have been around and been under leaders who carried that persona. But being connected to you has been so liberating for me, because I grew up in a strict, staunch, this is how it have to be. You veer off this line, you going to hell. You do this, you going to hell. This is not of God. And the way that your life is, number one, God told you it was going to be on public display, and it has been. But to be with you, to support you, to encourage you, to and you do the same for us, has been a breath of fresh air for me. And I'm
Mm,
not saying that, and I just want people to know that I'm not saying that just to pump Dr. V up, because Dr. V pumps herself up. She don't need us to pump her up. She pump herself up. This is real. And what it has so done for my life has opened me up to so much that I see who I am.
mhm.
I'm walking who I am. And God has, when I tell you, drop stuff so fast, it's made my head spin. Like, are you serious? Wait a minute. Whoa, this is fast. Oh my God, what are you doing? But it's been a blessing. But
Yeah.
you're real. When you hurt, we know you hurt. We experience that. We pray for you. We lift you up. You are not like this untouchable being that just goes through life and everything is great. No, you have your ups and your downs and your moments, but to be connected and to learn and to glean and to grow. The wisdom that's in this woman, y'all haven't even tapped into the wisdom that she has, the anointing that she carries, how she can just flow and speak into your life. And when you're done, she, when she's done with you, you are so encouraged that it's like, oh, I can take on the world now. Let me flex my muscles here. So, but that's how it's
Wow.
been. That's how it's been. And I continue on, and I look for what I can do to continue to be that person in your life for whatever area you need to be. And that's how we all need to be with each other.
Yes.
We're in a world where people just take, take, take. I want this, I want
Yes.
that. And it's about I. And if I were that way, then I would drain you, and then you would quickly see, like, okay, she's just a taker. I'm going to have to limit that. But I'm not that. I'm that person that, yes, I like to receive, but I want to give more than I receive. I want to help more than I want to get. So it has been, and I can't believe we're coming up on a year. It
I
feels like
know.
forever. It feels like much longer than that I've
It
been
does.
connected. But
It does.
and then seeing you in December at the retreat in person, like when I got off the plane in the airport in Nashville, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting ready to meet Dr. V in person. Like, and when I got in the car, it was so funny because I was like, oh my God, I'm touching Dr. V. You're here. But to be in your presence, it was so much fun, so powerful. Yeah, yeah. Let me stop, because I can do. Let me stop.
Girl, listen. Kareen said, yes, I agree, April. The going to hell teachings has the Christian community in a chokehold, and it's refreshing to see someone flawed and favored. I
I
like
love
that,
that.
Kareen.
Yes,
I like that
absolutely.
flawed and favored.
I'm gonna put
Yes,
that on my
because
Facebook page later. I'm gonna steal that. I'll give you credit
listen,
for it.
just give a credit, just give a credit, just give
Get
a
credit.
credit. Listen, but that's real because a lot of times people feel like you can't be flawed. You got to be perfect to be used by God.
Mhm.
And the reason I allow my flaws to show is so that people can know that you can be flawed and be used by God. How about
Absolutely.
that?
How
For them
the book
folks that
says,
say, "Oh, well, God is not going to use you if da, 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 da." No, you can be flawed and favored because it
absolutely.
is it's God's job to do the rest of it. It's God's
Mhm.
job to work out the kinks. And some stuff he ain't gonna work out. Because guess what? Even Paul said, I had a thorn in my side, and I prayed to God 3 times that he would remove it, and he didn't. He said, my grace is sufficient. That means he left the flaw there to keep him humble. He left it there
Mhm.
to keep him say, hey, I don't want you to get to I know you going into the spirit realm and seeing stuff, but listen, I need you to stay on the ground enough so that you can be relatable to the people, you know. So that's
Absolutely.
an amazing thing. Hey, Eileen, how are you? Gorgeous.
We have
So,
plenty of examples in the Bible of flawed people that were used mightily by God. David was a man after God's own heart. David had Uriah killed, put him on the front line so he could have his wife, got her pregnant. But he was after God's own heart, and God still used him and blessed him.
mm, Corey
All
said
to
from
say,
Sauling to Pauling. Girl, that's
okay,
good. Y'all got some good stuff. That's a book title, Corey. Write it
mm,
down. Y'all write this stuff down, honey. God is dropping gems and nuggets. You know,
yes,
this morning when um I appreciate everything you said. First of all, let me say that. Know that it's mutual, right? But you said something. You said something about my wisdom. And literally, um, the man of God today was talking about the wisdom that I dropped in what I said, the practical wisdom. Um, I didn't use a whole lot of scriptures. Listen, it was on the spot. Like, okay, God, this is what we doing this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. This is what we doing. And it's 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock there. It was 4 o'clock here. So,
mm,
like already, I was supposed to be asleep. Okay. But he was talking about the wisdom that I shared. And I'm gonna tell y'all where my wisdom comes from. God. Listen,
mhm,
I asked God for some specific things. So the man of God that really is my spiritual father is Pastor Larry C. Ford in Athens, Georgia at New Freedom Christian Center. That's my spiritual father. Now I've been in church and I've done church and gone through different denominations, right? Different teachings, you know, no jewelry, no makeup, no pants. I'd gone through that. I'd gone through no meat. I was Adventist for a while. I've been through a number of denominations, right? And I ended up at his church, and I was frustrated with religion, right? And there, I met this man, and this man was just so amazing that I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go to his church, right? I went to his church, and I met him as a realtor, but I learned him as a father, and just grew so much in that space in that space. And he was one of the calmest, most patient, most loving, caring, gracious people I had ever met in my life, and wise, you know. And I remember saying, God, I want to be like Pastor Ford, right? So I found myself going through situations that required my patience. I found myself going through situations where I gleaned and gained wisdom. I found myself going through situations that required me to show other people grace and mercy the same way I needed grace and mercy. And it has shaped me. Right. And then I was surrounded by wise people. My daddy that raised me was very wise. He was one of the wisest people I knew, very caring, very compassionate. Um, and especially after he met Jesus, right? So there was the daddy I had before Jesus, and there was my what Tim would call my AJ Jesus, my AJ daddy, which was my after Jesus daddy. So there's BJ before Jesus and AJ after Jesus. So after Jesus, after Jesus, we got closer. Before Jesus, he just didn't know. Like he didn't know how to do that thing with me, how to love me, how to and after Jesus, I really saw him allow God to change his heart so that it was more tender, so that he was more compassionate and not so harsh, right? Um, so being afforded the opportunity to have his wisdom. I remember one of the things that he did. I remember I was working on my book, Use Your Buckets, 12 Life Lessons for Success. And I was there at their house and I was finishing it. I was going through a rough patch in my marriage with husband number four. I'd been really sick, in and out of the hospital, having many strokes. I was suffering from severe depression. I just started taking medication again, and had to take two medications because one was not going to get it. And I went on my spring break and I was going to work on the book and just get away for a minute. And I remember him taking me in the kitchen and he had a cup and he put water in it. And he said, "Is this cup half full or half empty?" I said, "It's half full." So then he filled it up, right? And poured some out. He said, "Is it half full or half empty?" And I said, "It's half empty." He said, "Why?" And I had to think about it because he just taught me something, right? So I normally see everything, like my approach would be to see everything as half full. Look at the glass. When you look at the glass, you see the glass is half full, right? It's how
Mhm.
you measure optimism. Optimism is measured by how people, identify things or describe things, right? So it's half full, right? Rather than half empty, because half empty
Mhm.
means that you're a pessimist. Da, 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 da. This is what my daddy taught me. He said, "Listen," he said, "you were right. The cup was half full, right? But
Mhm.
not just because you wanted it to be half full, because I filled it halfway."
Mm.
He said the
Mm.
second time it was half empty because it once was full and I emptied half of it out. So it was half empty.
Wow.
It's not just if you come up on something and you just look at the state of it, 166. If you just look at the state of it, then you can make it be whatever you want it to be. But if you're there and you see it from the beginning. I saw from the beginning, I saw him fill the cup up halfway. I was like, "Oh, it's half full." I saw him fill it all the way and pour half of it out. It's half empty. So then, if you know the beginning state of a thing, you can accurately identify what it is, even while you're declaring what it will be.
Right.
It's not
Right.
just about what you think. It's, "Oh, I'm just going to be positive." I can be positive that the glass is half empty and know that I need to put some more water in it so that it can be full.
Mhm.
So he taught me that wisdom, and then to be blessed with another great wise daddy, right? Because you said it right when you talked about my daddy. It's why I call him my master prophet. The man is wise. He's wise. He has a lot of wisdom, and sometimes his wisdom is overlooked, um, for his humanity. But check this out. They didn't know who Jesus was either.
Yeah,
They didn't know
that's
who
right.
Jesus was. They said, "Oh, aren't you Mary and Joseph's son, the
Mhm.
carpenter? Oh, you just the carpenter." So in those places where he was treated as just the carpenter, he couldn't perform miracles. But in those
Mhm.
places where he was honored as the prophet, as the son
Yes.
of God, he could perform great miracles. I need my daddy to perform miracles in my life. I need a
Amen.
prophet, not just my daddy. Now, my daddy
Mhm.
gonna love me. He'll chastise me, correct me. I know people don't think he does, but he does. But I'm me. I'm still gonna be me. I'm gonna hear him. I'm gonna take the meat, spit out the bones, and then I had to learn. "Yes, daddy."
Mhm.
That's it. That he'll tell you now. I'll be quick with that. "Yes, daddy." "Yes, daddy." "Okay, daddy." But having him in my life and understanding his role in my life allows him to move differently in my life, to have his words to have a different effect. So it's really taught me about birthright. I've really learned about my birthright, and how I have the right to expect great things to happen in my life. I have the right to be great because it's my birthright. I have the right to perform miracles because it's my birthright. When you understand your birthright, you move
Right.
differently. "Oh, this is my birthright.
Absolutely.
I'm the oldest. I have a
Yes.
certain birthright because I'm the oldest. I'm the
Mhm.
firstborn. I have a birthright that has been bestowed upon me. And even though nobody knew that I was the oldest before I came into the picture, I still was the oldest, still had the same birthright, even
That's
when I
right.
didn't realize it. And I think for us as believers, we don't understand our birthright.
I agree. I agree.
Mm, what, April? Go ahead.
So when we come into the knowledge of who we are, the true knowledge, not what we have to feel that. You can tell me all day long who I am. But if I don't come into the knowledge of it and believe it for myself, then I won't understand my birthright and I'll forfeit it. And what I'm not going to do is forfeit who I am. I'm a peculiar person. I am joint heirs with Christ. Just think about that. I am a joint heir with Christ. Christ sits right next to God. If I'm joint, then I'm right next to them. So why would I think that I'm not entitled to the blessings, to the overflow, to being happy, to being loved, to being wealthy? Why would I? That is my birthright. If it was Jesus's birthright, and he came on this earth as a man, both man and God on this earth, why would I think any less of me? So when you stated that Daddy Wiggins told you that it was your birthright, I adopted that. And I remember I was having a conversation with my mom, and I told her, this was just a few days ago. I said, you know what? It is my birthright to be wealthy. It is my birthright to have this. It is my birthright to have the house that I want because I'm currently looking for a house to buy. It is my birthright to have what I want and not to settle for anything less. But we have to get that mindset and
Yes.
understand that so we
Mm-hmm.
can walk in it. And then there won't be so many timid, shy saints walking around here, Christians, call themselves Christians. I'm a child of God. Do you really understand what that means? Because if you
Right.
did, you wouldn't allow the stuff to happen. You wouldn't just say, oh, well, this is how it is. No, that's not how it is. I
Right.
know who I am. I know my birthright. And so I'm
Mm.
going to get it. I'm going to get what's due to me, what's
Yes.
owed to me, what is
Yes.
already mine.
Yes. Girl, this is why Jackie said, I'm learning to look at God for who he is and for what he's doing with my life. From fearful to favored. That's another freaking book, Jackie. From fearful to favored. That's
Y'all
gonna be
better
your
get to
story.
writing.
Write
Get to
these titles
writing.
down. Write them down. That's why I gotta do the book writing course again, the Billionaire Boss book
Absolutely.
writing course. I gotta do it again because it's so many books that need to be birthed. So check this out. So I'm so glad that you said that, right? Because what I know is the promises of God are yay and amen.
Yes.
Yes and amen. That's the promises of God. And because we don't see ourselves appropriately, we settle. Because we don't see ourselves appropriately, we think it is beyond us to be strong or to set boundaries or to
Mhm,
be feminine. Like, so
mhm.
we feel like as women, particularly black women, that we've got to be super strong all the time, fix everything, solve everything, handle everything, carry everything. And I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not carrying stuff. I'm
Right.
not carrying it. If I gotta
Mhm.
wait
That's right.
for somebody to come to carry it for me, I wait, you
Right.
know? But we
Right.
get so caught up in I gotta do it now. It's some stuff I'm not gonna do. I'm just
Mhm.
not. I'm finna be can you
No,
help
I
me?
can't. Help me.
Can you help me?
Right.
Excuse me, but can you help me? I'm gonna
Mhm,
stand at the door.
mhm.
Like, I'm not gonna just open the door like, and it's a man coming up behind me. I'm gonna step and let him open the door. And if he look at me like, could you open the door for me, please? He opens. I'm like, oh, you're such a gentleman. Oh my God, thank you. I appreciate that so much. You know, and people say, well, that's fake. It's not fake. It's real. Like he is a gentleman. Now, I may have had to afford him the opportunity to allow that's in him to show up. But I'm gonna tell y'all something, women, y'all need to stop expecting these men to be somebody that you don't make space for them to be.
Gotta
You
set a
want him to
standard.
be a gentleman. You want him to treat you like a lady. You gotta walk and talk and act like a natural lady, my dear. That's what you gotta do. You gotta
Right.
be the lady. If you run up like, you just opening doors and carrying stuff, and you got 12 bags and you carrying them like this, you don't need him. He's gonna look at you like,
Mhm.
oh, she got it. He might open
Right.
the door for you. But
Maybe.
listen, you got to give space for people to be who you desire them to be. Similarly, men, you can't expect a woman to be feminine when you don't handle your business.
Facts.
You not handling your business. What makes you think that she's getting ready to acquiesce to your leadership? She just
Mm,
gonna fall back and let you lead, sir. You don't know where you going.
mm-hmm.
You lost.
Mm-hmm.
Won't ask for directions, and you want her to be lost and not ask for directions with you. You
Yeah.
know, so there're just some things that we have to do individually and collectively in order to really see the promises of God fulfilled in our life. At the end of the day, it's about all of us growing in Him,
Absolutely.
growing and understanding our DNA. This morning I was talking and I told him, I said, listen, I said, you were talking about bridging the gap or closing the gap, and I said, listen, there are three sides of you, or three perspectives. There's the you that you see or you believe you are, there's the you that others believe you are, and there's the you that you want to be, or we're going to call it the ideal self or your God self, the self that God created you to be. Okay, when you're trying to become the self that God created you to be, then you gotta examine, well, what's missing, what's the gap. You remember at the retreat, at the vision retreat, I said, listen, we're closing the gap, we're bridging the
Mhm.
gap. We're
Yes.
bridging gaps. And the only way you bridge gaps is through knowledge and understanding. That's how getting the tools that you need to bridge the gap. So, April, where you are today versus where you were in March,
Whew.
what's different?
You know, I have more awareness of
Yes,
myself,
Corey.
more awareness, and more boldness.
Mm,
And I understand that I don't have to sit back and allow anything that's not favorable in my life,
my
because
God.
control, I can control what happens by my words and my actions.
Yes.
Where I was, and I like to use about relationships because that the enemy really gets me in my heart because
Mm-hmm.
I have that desire. God created, and I'm gonna say this because I don't know who watching. God created me to be a wife and not a girlfriend.
Come on
Okay,
now.
I have the qualities and the capability of being an amazing wife, and God is he's coming. I know he's coming. He on the way. I feel it. I feel it. But where I was before, I didn't really see my value and worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really, I was so, I wouldn't say I was shy, but I was coming into myself, but it was a slow process, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But as I went through the year, took the no more sabotage class, because I had childhood trauma that I knew affected my life, but I had no idea just how much it had affected my life in every area than when I took the classes. I was so I remember in the first class you had us to do the chart, and there was the style and the motivation and then the saboteurs, and everything that mine lined up to be. It was I wasn't surprised at all because I was doing things to be a pleaser, to be accepted. I was a hyperachiever because I felt that my worth was in my achievements, which is why I've done so much in my career, my life, because I felt that when people said great things about the things I accomplished, that made me worthy.
Come on.
But I had to understand and learn from those classes that it's not about what you do, it's who you are. And
Yes.
I didn't know who I was
Come on,
truly.
April.
I
Come
had to
on.
find out who I was. And like I said, awakening. I was awakened. It's like I was walking and I had some idea, but I didn't believe it. But it
Yeah.
wasn't until God manifested those things. And really, you said it's about the knowledge. We have
Yes.
to have the knowledge. It's bridging the gap. How do you bridge the gap? You bridge the gap with obtaining the knowledge. And
Yes.
I went out and took the classes and just sat there. I have pages and pages of notes that I read over, and it's like, oh my God, I was doing this, I was doing that. So now, when these saboteurs, like my big one is my judge, when they
Mm-hmm.
try to come up, I say, oh, no, no, you shutting up. We are not operating that way. That is not me. That's not who I am. This is who I
Yes.
am. And when I tell you, it's just like, if you watch a movie and there's like an evil spirit that comes, and if someone says something against it, it just poof disappear.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
happens with my judge. As soon as I said, I'm not doing this today, this is not who I am. I am this person. I hear nothing else. Nothing.
Wow.
But I would
Wow.
not have been able to do that had not I taken those classes, because I would not have even been aware. I knew that I could sabotage things and people could sabotage things, but I didn't know the specific names and categories of them. So to
Mm,
have that specific information to use to apply to my life, where I am now, like, I'm not putting up with foolishness. If I could break up with this guy I've been with for 8 months, who I loved dearly, thought I was going to marry, and I had the boldness to say, you know what, this is not going to work. No,
mm,
this is not it. This is not
wow.
it. And move forward and do it boldly, and then not call him and be like, do you miss me? Or send some kind of message to try to pull. No, no, no. I haven't done none of that. And I won't, because I know my value. I know my worth. I know who I am. And I know how I want to be treated. So you were talking about standing at the door and asking the man, could he open the door? We have to set the standard. Women, we got to set the standard for how we want to be treated. If they see that you're just going to allow anything, they're just going to do it. But if you set the standard, no, this is not getting ready to happen. No,
Mm-mm,
we're not going to have that. We're going to
mm-mm.
do it. This is no, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of times, because the enemy knows where our areas of weakness are, our insecurities, um, when we talk about these saboteurs, and I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm a firm believer that everything works together for your good. So last night, we were supposed to do part one of the class. We weren't able to do it. We weren't able to do part one, which means we're doing part one tonight. I believe with everything in me, that's because there are some people who still needed to register, who hadn't registered, who got to go register. Y'all, I know y'all think I just be talking about this class. I'm telling y'all, this class changed my life. This information changed my life. Now, mind you, I didn't take the class. I studied the material. I told y'all I'm a learner. Like, and I explored. I was looking for solutions, looking for answers. And I said, this is it. Baby, when I started seeing, I said, oh, this is it. This is the key.
Mhm.
This is the missing link. This is how I bridge the gap between where I am and where I'm going. There's some things that I've got to change in me. I got to deal with in me. I got to renew in me my mind, right? The word of God tells us this. It says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. But we don't know how to renew our minds. And we said, well, if you just recite the scriptures, it'll April, how many times you done recited the scriptures and your mind ain't been renewed?
You know what? I I love the church. I do, and I love the basic principles and teachings, but I knew excuse I always knew that there was more. I always knew that there wasn't just pray and God'll do it. Just pray and God'll change it. Why would God, and this is the question, like, I ask questions. Why would God give people the knowledge and the know-how and the wisdom just for this, so for the saboteurs? Why would God give this person the wisdom on this if it wasn't for us to use in addition to praying?
Yes.
And then I think about faith without works is dead. I can say those scriptures all the time, but there's some action that is
Mhm.
required.
Yes.
What is the action? I'm going to a
Yes.
conference, I'm taking classes, I'm going to workshops, those things that draw me, that's going to help me. That's the work. Coupled with my faith is what makes the
Yes.
change. I just can't believe it. I can believe it all day long and just sit here. I'm going to believe that God's going to send my husband, but I'm going to sit right here in this little chair. I'm going to wait for him. No, where's the work? Fix yourself up, get out so people can see you, go
Yes.
places, travel, do things. So that's the work. I can believe all day long that my husband is coming, but if I don't prepare, if I don't do any work,
Yes.
it ain't happening.
Come on. Jackie said, before the class, I was like the walking dead, and the information gave me truth and light. My God. Y'all, listen, I'm going to tell y'all the April that you see before you, It's not the April I met. The Dr. V that you see before you, it's not the Dr. V that she met. Now, there are things that are the same, but baby, it's leveled up. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level. It's leveled up because there were things that I was doing to sabotage myself because I felt, y'all, listen, I'm just talking about me. This may not be nobody else, but I felt like if people couldn't stand me when I didn't truly, fully understand all of who I was. I, what's going to happen if I really walk in that? People really are not going to be able to stand me then. And I want people to like me. Even if I
Mhm.
say, I don't care if you like me or not, I kind of care. I kind of care a little bit, kind of care, right? It's a very natural thing. But what God did was he said, oh, and really, can I be honest with y'all? Really, it wasn't about people not liking me. It was about a man not being able to deal with the totality of who I was,
Mm.
being intimidated by my confidence, by, what I did and how I did it and all of that. Good morning, Joe. You look so handsome. Oh, somebody else is on there. You surprised by that because normally it's just us, isn't it?
Special.
Yeah, that's Miss April. Huh? That's Miss April. Say hi. Say hi.
Oh, he's like,
He
no,
said,
not
"Oh."
today.
He said, "Oh, wait.
Somebody
How's she
new.
on there? She ain't here. How's she on here?" Yeah. But really it was about not being palatable to a man.
Mm,
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 not being
mm.
palatable,
Right.
not being desired. You know what I'm saying? Like too much, being too much, right?
Mhm.
So listen, I had to learn how to navigate all that. I had to learn how to navigate it and be okay if, certain men weren't able to handle the woman I was, and trust that God had a man who could handle everything about who I am
Yes,
and
absolutely.
embrace it, you know, and check me when I need to be checked gently.
Gently. Yes, Lord, working on that one.
Gently, gently. Just don't talk to me hard, baby. Don't talk to me
Right.
hard. Yeah. So
Lady, I'm
yeah,
gentle.
baby, why are you talking to me hard? Why are you
Right.
giving me all of that masculine energy like that? But just taking the journey and being okay if it meant that I was isolated, being okay if it meant that I lost relationships or I had to leave places, situations, and circumstances. Like being
Mhm.
okay with that, being okay with that journey, and being okay with change when
Right.
you've been known to be a certain way, being
Mhm.
okay with change. I remember I'm at my son's house ready to graduate from college, and he was looking for jobs, and he had a job in Tampa. So he had come and he spent part of the summer with us, and he was like, well, I couldn't be here all the time. I couldn't live here because mama, you would be at my place every day. And I was like, no, I wouldn't. He was like, mama, come on now, because he remembered me as being super controlling, right? Now I
Mhm.
still had some controlling, but it wasn't like it was, right? So I could have been in the same city and not seen him on days, right? But like he still remembered the mama that was
Right.
very controlling, right? So we've got to be okay with change, even if that change means that people have to relearn us. You got to reintroduce yourself to people. Let me reintroduce myself, okay? And so that's a part of the journey. That's part of what learning about the saboteurs and how to kill them, and then how to move from surviving to okay, so you talked about the saboteurs. We talk about the saboteur part all the time. Okay, but talk about that, moving from surviving to thriving. Peace. Talk about that for a second.
Well, if anybody on here is following me on Facebook and Instagram, you can see the evidence. And It's last night after I got home, I got a phone call from a young lady in Arizona who was a member of our church, and she was actually my armor bearer. And the things that she said, you have no idea how much you are inspiring me. She said, your life and what you are doing has exploded. And I thank you so much for everything that you taught me and being able to be with you. That wasn't the April before these classes. That wasn't me. The boldness that I have to go live like I do, to post, to prophesy, which I knew that I had been it been told to me so many times about being a prophet. And I'm like, yeah, I want no parts of that. I'll know. And I was bootlegging because God would give me things, and I tell people, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want that. But the boldness that I have now, the April that people see, they're shocked, they're blown away. They send me messages, they call me like, oh my God, what you are doing is amazing. Like you have just, because they remember me when I was in school. I was the shy April, bookworm, very smart, didn't get involved in anything, didn't hardly talk to people, didn't think highly of myself at all. So I just stayed in the books and watched everybody else and wished that I was bold enough to be able to hang out with people or do things, but I didn't have that. Now, whether you go with me or you don't, baby, I'm going. I'm going to say what I need to say and I'm going to be me. One thing I have learned extra is to be my true, authentic self.
Yes.
It feels good. And even when I'm in a corporate or business setting, I'm still my true, authentic self. I'm not putting on
Yes.
airs or fronts for people. I'm going to be
Yes.
silly. I'm going to use wisdom, but I walk in there and I command a room because I know who I am. So when I go walk in a room, people are turning like, oh, okay. And it has and this has been great because God has been showing me who actually has been for me and who really don't like me, because that I am liked, because people gravitate to me, because I get involved in so much. They don't like that, but it's okay. Had I not gone through these classes, had I not transitioned and transformed into who I am, I would still be sitting back there waiting and wishing on a star for something to happen, and it wasn't going to happen. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm not. I'm bold and I love it. I love the me.
Listen, well, I encourage you, first of all, to send her the link to the classes. And so she can see
Absolutely.
her life explode. Okay. Kareem said, yes, I was on the ground floor of negativity before the class. Definitely been elevated. Still a work in progress, but far from where I've been. Yeah.
And that is
Lakita
true
said,
because we see that. I see that in Corrine. I see
mm-hmm,
even her demeanor, the way she looks is totally different. I saw a transition from the beginning because in our first classes, she didn't want to have her camera on. You had to make her turn the camera on. And then after a while, when she turned it on, it was like, oh my gosh, she was smiling, her face
mm-hmm,
had lightened up, she
mm-hmm,
had changed her tone, the way she talked. Oh my
mm-hmm.
goodness. Kareen, don't you lose that, baby. Don't lose it. Just keep going forward. Keep going forward.
Yes, yes. Lakita said, I was also just surface before the class. Like just surface, you know. Listen, I'm telling y'all, and I wanted April to come on because I've seen such an explosion in her life. I've seen the explosion. I said, girl, you better listen. We were having a conversation, and she's got some trips out of the country coming up. And she's like, and I don't even have anybody to go. I said, girl, didn't I tell you that I was going to Dubai with you? And I gotta ask my husband to get clearance, but you know, I tell you I was going to Dubai with you. I said, girl, I'll go be your armor bearer. She's like, oh my, you're gonna be my armor bearer. I said, girl, yes. Listen, we're gonna be flip-flopping. Sometimes you're gonna be my armor bearer, sometimes I'm gonna be yours. Listen, you gotta understand, and this is what you want. Let me tell you what you want. You want a leader in your life who not only sees you, but sees where you're going, and they can serve you the way you serve them.
Absolutely. And we
They're
had
not
that is so
intimidated.
lacking. That is
Mm-hmm.
so lacking. And that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I had to step away from a previous ministry because of that. And I didn't want to believe that there was jealousy, there was intimidation, because at
Hmm.
that point, I had not fully recognized who I was. I knew
Right.
that there was something, and I felt it like there's something, but I don't know what it is. But
Right.
evidently, saw it, and so it began to be a lot of negativity towards me, and I couldn't understand it. And it wasn't until I stepped away and I took these classes, and now it became evident, like, oh, now I understand. But if leaders would be that way, if they would understand that they are to be a help and not a hindrance, and it's not about
Yes.
somebody shining, outshining you. We all gonna shine together.
Yes.
There's plenty of room at the top for all the stars to shine. You don't see any stars in the sky at night crowding on top of each other, pushing each other back. They don't do that. Everybody has their own place, and they all shine bright. They all shine bright.
Listen, my baby said, get that passport, you can go. That's
Definitely.
another thing. You got to have a mate who is not going to hold you back and hinder you and be like,
Absolutely.
oh no, we'll only have been married for a few months and you trying to go out of the country and I don't know what you gonna do. Listen, y'all better get somebody who can support you in your purpose. I'm
Yes.
trying to listen. And he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to say that. He could have waited until we had an actual conversation. But apparently, we do a lot of stuff on Facebook Live. So since we getting proposed
Apparently.
to on Facebook Live, we do a lot of stuff on Facebook Live. Transparency, my life on display. Y'all
Mhm.
saw it. He said, "Get that passport. You can go." Listen, we were even talking about getting our passports when we went and got our marriage license. He's asking questions. Well, how much is the passport? Like, what do we need to do? Da 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 da. Because he knows that not only am I going to be traveling, we're going to be traveling together. So, you need someone who understands the assignment on your life and who can support that assignment. Just like if he's preaching, I'm going to do everything in my power to go support him as he's speaking the word of God. Like, I'm going to support him. I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader. I'll be like, that's my baby right there. You better preach. Joseph said how he wanted y'all to hear that. Hey, sis, how are you? Listen, Corey said that was me hiding behind the cameras and suppressed, feeling down, negative, but them classes will give you release. Corey's another one. Corey never would have her camera on. I said, Corey, I said, you gonna turn your camera on? I'm not turning my camera on, right? My baby said, we ready. I know that's right, baby. We got some places to go and some things to do. So, y'all, listen, as we take this journey called life, you got to understand that what God is calling you to do is going to require you to come up. And anything that has been holding you back, blocking you, preventing you from getting to that place, baby, it will be identified in this class. These classes will identify the things that are holding you back and give you the tools to kill those things while also giving you the tools to take your life from surviving to thriving. April, if there was anything that you could tell people about your journey, about the impact of these classes, what would it be?
You must put in the work. Don't just, if you want to take the classes, take the class, but you have to put in the work. And that's one thing that I did is I put in the work earnestly to recognize the saboteurs, do the work, the exercises to kill them, and to go from just surviving, because it's almost like walking around like a zombie, like Jackie said, and not really realizing that you are not living your best life. And now that I know what I do and have the information that I do, man, there's nothing I will never go backwards. Never. Nothing. I will never allow life or situations to undo what was done and what I learned when I have the power to make it be so. And so we learn that in these classes, and you got to make sure you put in the work. Don't say, oh, don't get excited today and then register like, yes, yes, yes. And then you don't want to put in the work. You have to put the time in. You have to put the work in. You have to do the readings, exercises. It's going to benefit you. And before you know it, the class is over and you want more, 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 but you just dig deep into it. You read more and you study more and you practice more. And repetition becomes a permanent practice. The more you practice on killing your saboteurs, the better you get at it and the less they come and affect your life.
Oh, wow. You said a mouthful with that. Catherine said the classes are fire, right? And it doesn't stop with the classes, because this month I'm also launching my second installment of the No More Sabotage 6 week supercharge. So for those of you who took the classes last year, but you didn't do the supercharge, you'll be able to do the 6 week supercharge so that you'll be able to have that accountability. I just want you to talk about what happened with that accountability piece, how God brought that piece together.
The supercharge is the no more sabotage on steroids. Right? You go deeper. It takes you deeper and harder into really honing in what you learned, what we learned in those two no more sabotage classes, and takes you further with exercises to see deeper into your life and how they have affected you. And the reading and the understanding and the all of the exercises, you just sit back like, wow, wow, it is amazing how you can see your life in that and how it has affected you. So you know how to redirect that, how to kill off whatever's not supposed to be and redirect the other stuff. That's exactly what it was absolutely amazing. Just amazing.
Listen, and I want y'all to understand that when God is doing this stuff that he's doing, and if you're interested in the supercharge class, hit me up and I'll give you the information for that, because I don't have it on here. But when God is doing this stuff, I believe, and this is what God told me. He told me, he said, I'm going to give you a plan, a strategy, and lay out a map that you will be able to help people go from where they are to where I desire for them to be. Right?
Mhm.
In terms of understanding themselves, in terms of moving things out of the way so that they can go forward with might and with power. And that is the key, being able to go forward with might and with power. And so God is trying to get us to that place. Go register, go register. You can't beat it because, hey, baby. Listen, you can't beat it because you get two classes for $140. Both classes. Come here, baby. Both classes for $140. Afterpay is available. You can make it in 4 payments over 8 weeks. Y'all, you can't beat it. Look, this is what I know. I know that God's promises are real, and all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. April, what is it that you would say to the people as we prepare to close out?
Do not allow the enemy to keep you in a place called stuck. We're in a new year, we're in a new season, and there are so many things that many people want, they desire, and they just don't know how to get there, or they get to a certain point and then they're stopped or they're blocked. You need to find out what that is, what is causing the issues, and change it. I am guaranteeing myself that this year I'm going to get more contracts for my business. I'm getting ready to sign my second contract already, and it's just January 20th. They asked for the contract. So I'm speaking those things and I'm doing the work and I'm having the boldness. Don't allow yourself to be this place where you are the end of this year, just like you were last year. Get yourself in a different place. You want to see by December 31st of this year, you have grown and progressed and moved forward, and things have manifested in your life. Dr. V said 2023 is a year of manifested miracles. You can't manifest anything if you don't put in the work, that if you don't invest in yourself, if you don't invest in your future, and what you desire, if you just sit back and just think it's just going to happen by osmosis, it's not. You'll be in the same spot at the end of the year. So I am declaring for me and for you that you will awaken and arise, do what is necessary to get yourself to that next level. It's there. God's sitting there just waiting to drop it on us. He's waiting for us to do our part. See, we want to give God, let God do all the work and we just sit there and receive. That's not how that works. This is a give and take relationship that we have. He's going to drop it, but there's something that we have to give, something that we have to do. And it's not always super spiritual stuff. It could be as simple as taking these classes. It's as simple as doing the supercharge if you've already had the classes. It could be a refresher, whatever it is. Do that. Invest in you. You want to go to the next level, y'all. I'm guaranteed y'all gonna see a different, an even greater April by December 31st. Y'all think y'all see stuff now because I put my stuff on Facebook. You think you see it now. Just wait. It's coming. it's happening already. He's already got it planned out. My whole year is just about planned out. He's got to plug in some more stuff that I've spoken that I wanted. I know it's going to happen because I know who I am. It is my birthright to have it.
Yes, it is. And I'm so proud of you. We're proud of you because when anybody else um does it, then like all of us have done it. Kareem said, yes, take off, April. Corey
Yeah.
said, it's level up season. Invest in you. Blessings, everyone. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Um, she said your rocket ship is blasting off. Y'all, listen, this is why I do what I do, the way I do it, because I want to see everybody freaking win. I want you to win. And if anybody tells you Dr. V don't want you to win, they are lying and they have gotten caught up in the works and the thoughts of the enemy and their saboteurs, and they've allowed their saboteurs to interfere with their understanding of what's going on. I want everybody to win, and I want you to win bigger than me. Come on, somebody. I want you to win
Mhm.
faster than me. Because listen, do you know what that means? It means that I did my job.
Yes.
That's the greatest compliment I can get, is to see the life of the people that I work with supersede what I've done, and for them to do it faster. Like, it means I did my job. That's my lip gloss. My lip gloss. So listen, I just want to encourage you guys, register for the class. If you haven't sown your manifested miracle seed, sow your seed for 23. Sow your seed for 23 and watch what God does. God is doing exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could think or ask. You know, God is working it out for our good. That's not a pencil, baby. It's a pencil, but it's not a pencil. He over here like, what is this stuff? My mama don't use this. What is this? Look, I love you. And look, let me say this, for those of you who have families, you have children, you have younger children, and you feel like I can't do what I need to do because of my children, you'll notice I never have a problem or a hesitation dealing with these babies as I'm doing what I do, 12, 12. So you got to begin to create a space where there's room for the next generation to be in position to see. When he got on here, he knew that something was different. He said, oh, somebody else on the screen. Whoa, wait a minute. Normally it's just me and Big Mama. What's going on? Listen, you're exposing them to things and you're letting them know they're not an inconvenience, right?
Mhm.
So instead of looking at how people are going to judge you, that's your judge, saboteur. You know what I use that as? To show people that it doesn't matter. There are no excuses. You can't say, I can't do it because I have children. I can't do it because the kids are going to be loud. Listen, anyone who understands life, especially doing life after post pandemic, where everybody's at home, you know, you understand that there are children and children. If you look at somebody and say, oh, well, they're not professional because they're allowing their child, listen, you can say what you want to about me, but let me tell you something. All my grands are bosses. All of them. If I'm on stage, they finna try to come up on stage because they're supposed to be there. It's their birthright. They understand their birthright and they're not going to let you or anybody else intimidate them out of their birthright. Now, you could look at it and say, oh, well, that's out of order. That's unprofessional. I don't give two flying flips about this. What I'm doing for them. I want them to know you're supposed to be on stage. You're supposed to speak. You're supposed to have the microphone. You're supposed to. This is
Mhm.
your life. It's your birthright. I'm doing what I'm doing so that you can do that. Okay. So if anybody don't like it, they don't need to be around. We're building bosses, okay? Children that understand their birthright early on so they don't have to go through all the crap that we went through, where people
Mhm.
told us that you need to be quiet or you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. So if my baby want to do puzzles and he say, help me, I need help. You all need help. I'm gonna help this baby because he's gonna know that anytime he needs help, I'm gonna help you. He's got me. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm going to make room and space for him. You see it? Yeah. Walk in faith. Look, you guys, I pray that today's been a blessing for you. I pray that you've gotten what you needed. I pray that you have gleaned something as you've heard April share her story and her journey. That as we have shared God's promise that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, that you will walk that thing out with boldness and tenacity. determination, and resilience, that you'll keep a smile on your face, and that you will allow God to get the glory out of your life. Listen, go register for the classes tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't attend live, we also have the replay. You'll be able to get the replay. You'll go into the No More Sabotage group and you'll be connected to us. Baby, we about to take everything to the next level in 2023. Look, April, thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Because listen, we're getting ready to have some sounds over here. We're going to have horses and ducks and cows and pigs and everything. Listen, it's going to be some whack whack, some
You're on big mama duty now.
come on, Big Mama in full effect. Look, I
Right.
appreciate you, April, and I am so incredibly proud of you. Keep
You.
shining and take up.
Where
Oh, where can they follow April? Tell them how they can follow you, April.
So my Facebook handle is April Green Anderson. On Instagram, I'm April 36. And on YouTube, I'm Lady April 36. And I am getting ready to host a show that starts on Tuesdays. Go on my Facebook page, all of the links that you're able to watch it live. January 24th, which is Tuesday, coming at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Dr. V is the first guest on the show. So we're going to come on and talk about manifesting your vision for 2023. Myself and my co-host will be on there, and just look when I go live. I do things all the time. I post daily. God is doing some amazing things. So yes, definitely follow. Definitely hit me up if you have any questions. I do a whole lot of stuff. I mean a lot, but I love every minute of it. I do.
Listen, Kareem, thank you so much for saying
Thank
that.
you.
Look, because we definitely want you to go follow her and see the amazing things that she's doing, baby. And her posts, her daily posts, baby, that word be like fire. It'd be like drop my. But listen, you've been with Dr. V, ain't you? Oh, you've been with that Dr. V, girl. I see that fire on. You've been with Dr. V, honey. Listen.
If
So,
you know, you know.
listen, if you know, you know. Okay, baby. So look, you guys have an amazing, incredible, and blessed day. And know that we love you to life and life more abundant. Don't miss what God is trying to do in your life. Be blessed. Mwah.
Absolutely.